You take a look at the Haftarah that we're going to read this Shabbos. That's the Haftarah Parsha's Toldot from the book of Malachi. Malachi means my messenger. He's the last of the prophets. Why was the last of the prophets called Malachi? Why? Because every prophet is God's messenger, right? What page would that be? 1137 in the blue book. 1137. Malachi. So what's his message? Strange message. Look at the end, the Pasuk 7. Verse 7, at the end of the Torah. Kisifsei Kohen Yishmu Radas. The lips of the Kohen shall what? Safeguard knowledge. It's verse 7, right?
Chapter 2.
The Torah Yavakshim Piyu, and you should seek Torah from his mouth. Ki Malach Hashem Tzivoyoshu, because he is an angel of God. So Gemara Chagiga Avram makes a strange statement on this. Kohen is the teacher. Im harav kamo malach, if your teacher is like a malach, Yavakshu Torah, then you should seek a Torah from his mouth. Vimlav, but if your Rebbe, your teacher is not what? A malach, then al Yavakshu Torah Piyu, then don't study by him. Go find yourself another teacher. Chagiga, page 15. Very strange, right? Who's a malach? Every person is a sinner. A pasuk in Koheles ki adam ein tzadik bor tzashu yasa tov aliyachta. So what does the Gemara Chagiga mean on this verse? If your Rebbe is like a malach, you should study Torah by him. If not, trade him in for a younger model, right? Every person is a sinner. Who says so? Koheles. So how do you reconcile this? So Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal said, a malach is timeless. A malach doesn't get older, does he? But Rav Soloveitchik said about himself,
not lately.
Rav Malach is ageless and timeless, above time.
Page 1138.
It's a verse 7 in Malachi. So Rav Soloveitchik explained what this means is, every Rebbe sins. Everybody sins. Koheles says everybody. But Rav Soloveitchik said this means if you want to be a good teacher, a successful teacher, then you have to be like a malach. Even though you're much older and you're teaching younger students, Rav Soloveitchik said, I'm one of the boys. I'm one of the boys. When you're teaching a classroom, even though you're much older than your students, to be a successful teacher, you have to identify with them, even though they're much younger. So that's the quality of being a malach, ageless, right? Despite being old and frail, a Rebbe what puts himself what in the age of his students. And
you're not talking to yourself.
Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal said about himself that that's what the Navi means over here. That's what the Navi means in it. Rav Mordechai Goldstein gave another interpretation. There's a famous Gemara Masechta Eruvin. Rav Preda had one student have verstopte cup. How do you say that in English? Verstopte cup, right? So every lesson he had to teach him 400 times until Asimal Nofel. How do you say that? Till the penny dropped, right? 400 times. So a heavenly voice come out of heaven and says, Rav Preda, God loves you so much, you get either 400 years of life or all of your generation gets Olam Haba. What do you prefer? So he said, what? I prefer that all my generation should get Olam Haba. So God says, give them both. 400 times the same lesson. Now that time, Sarah, isn't the rabbi wasting his time?
No.
Well, yes, no. He could have studied other stuff.
No.
So he went over the same lesson 400 times, even though it stunted his own growth. That's a malach. For a good Rebbe, a malach cannot progress. A malach cannot steig. How do you say that in English? An malach is an omed. So to be a good teacher, you have to give up your own spiritual growth and progress for your student. So that's what it means over here. Ki malach Hashem, like Rav Preda. You're going over the lesson again and again, and meanwhile you could be steiging in another field. So you sacrifice your own growth for the good of your Talmud. That's the quality of a malach, because a malach cannot progress. A malach stays at the same level. So you're willing, please close that, you're willing to become a malach to teach others, and that's a good Rebbe. That's what the Haftorah means over here, like a malach. So Rav Goldstein Zatzal said, a Rebbe gives up his own growth, like a malach. but it only looks like that. Like Sarah said, he's really growing. Even though it doesn't look like us. Every time you repeat a lesson and the Talmud asks questions, Talmid hayota mikulam, says the Gemara in Tainus. Talmid hayota mikulam. So you are growing. It doesn't look like you're growing, but you are. Right? The questions. Nachon. So that's the malach. Timeless, ageless, and willing to give up your own spiritual growth and progress to advance your student. That's the sign of a good Rebbe. You look at the Parsha, it's amazing how the Parsha's Toldot. That's Bereshis 25, verse 19.
Page 125.
Page 125. Parsha's Toldot. Bereshis 25, verse 25.
What's your Leah area right now?
Verse 19
What
to
are
25.
Leah area?
It's,
Short tidbits. So what's your Leah?
it's the year 2525.
Still first man.
Da 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 da.
First-
Genesis 25:25. Remember that song, Joseph? In the year 25, if man is still alive. Genesis 25:25, Rabbi. You want to take it away? You can read it in English if you want.
Okay. The first one emerged red,
Red,
entirely like a hairy mantle. So they named him Esau.
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 He came out red. Rashi makes a strange comment. Simon sheshofer damim. It's a sign that Esau is going to be what? Carlo Gambino. Remember him? Shofer damim, a spiller of blood. So very strange, Sarah. Was Esau born evil? Shofer damim. Rabbi Yosef, he had the deck stacked against him. What do you want from the poor guy? Huh? Shofer damim, spiller of blood. Was Esau born evil? Remember that song, Born to be Wild? Was Esau born to be wild? You don't remember that song? By Steppenwolf. I'm dating myself. Born to be wild. Larry, what do you want from the poor guy? So the answer is as follows. It says the same word Admoni by David HaMelech. That same word Admoni says by David HaMelech in Samuel 1. When Shmuel HaNavi comes to anoint one of the sons of Yishai as what? As king. Right? And God rejects all of them except what? David. So Samuel says to God, God, are you sure? This guy is Admoni. He looks like Uncle Esav. He looks like Uncle Esav. God, are you sure?
How you use it?
Admoni. So God says, yeah, Yefei Anayim. Yefei Anayim. What does that mean? What?
Beautiful eyes.
So therefore, he's the king of Israel. So the answer is, as Sarah said, Esav could have been King David, and King David could have been Esav. Our test in life, everyone is born with impulses. With impulses. And what's our tafkid? We shall overcome. Or to channel those impulses. Yes, Esav was Admoni, but it could have used that bloodlust to kill PLO terrorists. Like King David did, to kill the enemies of Israel. Or to become a shaykhet. But instead he used it to kill innocent people. So, you know what I'm saying, Avram? Esav could have been King David. And King David could have been, you make the call. We're all born with challenges and impulses, and our tafkid is to control, manage, and transform them into a positive way. 1 minute. And therefore we say something very strange on Yom Kippur. Not that long ago from Yom Kippur. Did you say that? You list a whole set of al-chet, this sin, that sin, this sin. And for the sin that I sinned with the evil impulse. Does it make any sense? All sins is because of what? Evil impulse. So how could you have al-chet sheraton v'ech b'yetzara? Aren't all sins the Yetzirah? So this is the answer. God gave us the Yetzirah to what? To manage him. To use him, to channel him, to control him. And instead we abuse the Yetzirah. Instead of using that Esav's bloodlust or whatever impulse we have, instead of elevating it, channeling it, and transforming it, we allow it to rule over us. That's the answer. Esav could have been like King David. And therefore in Hebrew, the word rayacha, friend, is the same root as reya. Isn't it strange, Avram, in Hebrew? Rayacha means your friend, and reya means what? Friend. And it's the same root as ra. Why is the same word in Hebrew, Abraham, ra and reya? The same word for friend is evil.
Because it could be two.
The tafkid is to take your evil impulse and change him your friend. Make the ra reya. Esav was not willing to do that. Who was willing to do that? King David. Admoni, the same word. He looked like Uncle Esav. So that's the answer. Don't cop out, right? Can't help myself. We have to channel and transform our impulses. That is the challenge. To make the ra, Avram, what does the ra mean? To take the evil one and make him reya. Same word in Hebrew. Pretty amazing. So no one is born evil and no one is born good. It's up to us to use the impulses and the talents that Hashem gave us to channel them into a positive way, or chas v'sholom to go the other way. But this is the message over here of Yaakov and Esav. Now here, if you take a look at Bereshit 25:28, very bad translation. I think the art scroll 25:28. Want to read that, Avraham? 25:28. Yeah.
Isaac loved Esau for the
Loved in the past.
loved.
So far, so good.
For the game was in his mouth.
Right.
Rebecca loved Jacob.
Rebecca what?
Loved Jacob.
Loved? That's not true. Loved? But no, it says Ohevet. Loves. Why can't they translate properly? The Rivka Ohevet Yaakov. In the present. The family bond is not broken with death. 3,800 years later, Rivka continues to what? To love Yaakov and Olam Haba.
And Jacob, Isaac doesn't love Jacob continually?
They have Yitzchak and Esav. That's in the past. Because he was what? Vayev means in the past, because he was fooled by him. But Rivka continues to love Yaakov in the afterlife, and therefore it says Ohevet. Right? Pretty interesting. Now, was Yitzchak really fooled by Esav? Was he really fooled? And why the Torah tells me about this? But before we get to that, the Parsha of the week, Sarah always speaks to current events, right? Our peace partners in Gaza, right? They're terrorizing us, sabotaging even the crossing that we shipped them all trucks with supplies. They bombed that. You have in the Parsha of the week, Bereshit 26. Bereshit 26, verse 15, the Plishtim, the Palestinians in Gaza. That's Gerar, right? That's where he went. Yitzchak went there, that's Gaza. What do? They stopped up all the wells. They destroyed their own water supply. Yitzchak's water, they used it as well. They destroyed their own mayim and their own land. Right? They claim they love this land, right? Yet they send these terror balloons, these kites full of helium and bombs to burn the Holy Land, right? So this is mamish what the Plishtim did over here, right? Their hatred for us is so strong, they're willing to destroy their own natural what? Resources, full of hate and self-destruction, with their tunnels and their bombings. Mamish, nothing has changed in 3,800 years. Who are we negotiating with, making concessions to? There, right? Amazing. Gerar, that's today's Gaza. Gerar. So nothing has changed. So they destroy their own water supply to get at Yitzchak. They're willing to destroy their own natural resources, what? Because of their hatred to us. So no matter all the gestures that we make and all of the concessions that we make, it's all worthless, Avi. It's worthless. Right? We're beating a dead horse. If only our fearless leaders, Rachmiel, would what? Would study the Parsha of the week. If only, right? If only. Right? Now, was Yitzchak right to love Esav? Not all kids follow in the parents' footsteps. You have to love your kids no matter how they turn out. I think that's the message over here.
Yeah.
Even though he knew Esau was sinful, with all of his faults, a parent's love is unconditional. I think that's one of the messages that the Torah is teaching over here. So he gets old, Bereshit 27. He gets old, right? 27. And he sends Esau out to hunt for him, right? Bereshit 27. Pasuk 3 and 4. What does he say? He tells Esau, sharpen your what? Your weapons, and go out and hunt for me what? Game. And verse 4 says what? Sarah, what does verse 4 say? 27:4. Now keep in mind the Torah doesn't tell me Abraham knows stories. The Torah is God's GPS. Verse 4, what does it say there?
It says, then make me delicacies such as I love, and bring it to me, and I will eat, so that my soul may bless you before I die.
So Yitzchak Avinu says, I like a nice deli sandwich. A nice pastrami sandwich on club. I love that. Bring it to me, I'll eat it, and then what? I'll bless you. What's it all about? Yitzchak is interested in a pastrami sandwich. What's the Torah telling me? Reb Nachum, what's going on over here? What's the Torah teaching me? Ooh, I love good deli. That's what it says here. And after I have a nice sandwich, then I'll be able to bless you. Sarah, what's going on over here? Well, on a simple level, I think it teaches us you're supposed to enjoy life. Even this great Yitzchak Avinu, the Ola Tamima, says you're supposed to enjoy food. Not punish yourself. I think that's the message, Yehud, on a simple level. Yes, I like good food, and it's important to enjoy life. Hashem gave me good food, and I'll enjoy it. There's an amazing Yishalmi in Kiddushin that says that after 120, we're going to have to give a din d'cheshbon for all the delicious food that what? That we didn't eat. That's what it says. Of course, it's much more than that, but this is true on a simple level. And what does it got to do with a bracha? Yitzchak's bracha is prophecy, right? The Talmud says a Navi can only get Nevuah b'toch simcha.
Oh.
And how do you get simcha? By having a nice steak. Yes.
Yeah.
A Navi cannot get Nevuah unless he's b'simcha. Yitzchak wants to get the Nevuah to give the bracha, so he has to be b'toch simcha. So he says, bring me a nice what? A shoulder of lamb or whatever. What? Yeah, that's what it says here. Amazing. So he sends him out to hunt. He sends him out to hunt. Very difficult, because Yitzchak, in order to deceive him, what does she say in verse 9? She calls Yaakov and she says to him in verse 9, what is she? I don't know, verse 9.
Go now to the flock and fetch me from there 2 choice young kids of the goats.
2 goats, yeah.
And I will make of them delicacies for your father.
I'll make a nice cholent. But he sent Yitzchak to get deer. So how's she going to, Esau. Thank you. He sent Esau to get deer, right? Deer meat, game. So why did she send him to get goats? So Rashi says, Kitam agdi kitam atzvi. Goat meat tastes like deer meat. So he wouldn't know the difference. Sarah, you understand this?
But he didn't know that in the first place. Why couldn't I go kill a goat?
So Yehuda Lev asked the Bam Kasha, why be matriach? How do you say matriach? Why bother him? Just go to the barn and get 2 goats. If it tastes the same, that he got faked out by eating goat meat and tastes like deer meat, that begs the question, why send his son out on a wild goose chase? A wild deer chase. Just go to the barn and fetch 2 goats.
Big mitzvah.
Beautiful. Yitzchak knew that Esau will never be a Rosh Yeshiva. He'll never be a Rosh Koilo. But he knew that Esau excelled in the mitzvah of what? Of Kibbut Av. So he wanted to give him an opportunity to increase his merit of Kibbut Av. And Lefum Tzara Agra Avram. What does Lefum Tzara Agra mean? According to the pages again, the more effort you exert yourself in any mitzvah, the more schar you get. So he wanted to be Mezakeh his son Esau, to send him on a wild deer chase, even though he could have gone to the local deli, right? But this increases Esau's reward. What's the message over here? Every person has a mitzvah that speaks to him. Every person, Avram, has a mitzvah that speaks to him. So that mitzvah you should do the best that you can do. That mitzvah you should do the best that you can do. So Esav was good and keep it up, so Yitzchak wanted to give him an opportunity to what? To excel at that mitzvah. To shine in that mitzvah. Lefum tzara, according to the pain is the gain. And that's why, what? He sent him on this chase. But Yitzchak never kicked out Esav. He never kicked him out. He never kicked him out. Hoping against hope, Avram, that with his love and kindness, what, perhaps he could what? Rehabilitate him. You never give up on any child. You never give up on any child.
Is it possible that he actually...
And why did he bless him? He knew that he was not going to be what? Tzaddik. Why did he bless him? This Haredi guy came to Rav Eliashiv. And he said one of his kids became off, how do you say off the derech in English? He became irreligious. So he asked Eliashiv whether he should kick him out of the house. You understand him? You kick him out of the house because he might spoil the other kids.
No.
So you know what Eliashiv said? No, the Russia stays. You want to kick out the good kids.
Yep.
That's what he said.
Yep.
And he brought a raya from whom? Yitzchak and Esav. You never kick out a rotten child.
What if he's gay?
What if he's gay?
We're that person.
You never kick out. You never disown a child. Never. You can disapprove of his terrible behavior, but he's still your child. And you're not supposed to kick him out. The Rabbi Yashiv said that. He stays, you're afraid the other kids will get ruined, kick them out. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
And this is the raya, because the Torah doesn't tell me any stories. The Torah doesn't tell me any stories. Whatever the Torah tells me, it's GPS, God's authorized manual for living in the here and now. Why did Rivka deceive Yitzchak? Why did she deceive him? Why couldn't she tell him the truth? She got a nevuah that Yaakov is supposed to get the bracha. So why didn't she come out and tell him, Mark? She got the nevuah, but she was not authorized to tell her husband. If the Navi gets a nevuah and God does not say the word lamor, over and over again in the Torah it says, Vayomer Shem el Moshe lamor, Vadaber Shem el Moshe lamor. What does the word lamor mean? Repeat. So Gemara Yevamah says if God would not tell Moses lamor, he would have no right to repeat the Torah here. Without the word lamor, the Navi, it's only for his ears. So since God never told Rivka lamor, he was not authorized to what? She was not authorized to what? Not even to her own husband. He was supposed to be kept in the dark for whatever reason. So she was not authorized to do it. So why did it have to go through deception? Are you allowed to fake out your father? Are you allowed to deceive your husband, Avram? Are you allowed to lie to your father? So Unculus deals with this question. Unculus deals with this question in Genesis 27:13. 27:13. So Yaakov says, what can I do? I'm going to get a klolachas, not a bracha. I'm cheating my father, deceiving him. So she tells him in 27:13, Vatomeloi imoi, olai kalascha bani. What does that mean? Olai kalascha bani. Your curse is what? So Unculus says something amazing. You have Uncle Unculus on the left side there. Yud Gimel. Va'meret le'imei. His mother says to him, Alai et amar b'nevuah. See that, Abraham? Unculus. I'm telling you, b'toras navi. See that, Unculus Yud Gimel? Va'meret le'imei. His mother said to him, Alai et amar b'nevuah. On me, I'm telling you, it's b'toras nevuah. This is hara'at sha'ah. And a Navi has a right to what? Suspend the Torah law on a temporary basis. So you're not allowed to dishonor your fake out your father or your husband, but this is b'toras nevuah, hara'at sha'ah. We find in Tanakh that many times Nevi'im, they did what, Abraham? Suspend the Torah law. The classic case is Eliyahu Navi in Har Carmel, where he told the Jews to sacrifice to Hashem on Mount Carmel, which is 94 miles from the temple. sacrificing to God outside of the Beis HaMikdash is called Shchutei Chutz and is Chayev Karet. But Eliyahu Navi can do that because it's Hara'at Shah. And the Gemara Moed Katan 9 says the year that Shlomo HaMelech dedicated the Beis HaMikdash, Avi, that Yom Kippur, instead of what? Fasting, the Jewish people feasted. Shlomo HaMelech told them, don't try this at home, right? He was authorized to do that. A Navi can suspend the Torah law on a temporary basis. If he says from now on, we're feasting on Yom Kippur, or if he says from now on, we're sacrificing to God outside the temple, that's a Navi Sheker, is Chayiv Chenek. But if a bona fide Navi like Rivka, Eliyahu Navi, they have a track record. They tell you to suspend a Torah law, even dishonoring your father, as long as they say it's a Ra'at Shah, the person is obligated to listen. Therefore, Yaakov Avinu had no choice but to what? Listen to his mother in order to deceive his father. Onkelos answers it. Amar ben Nevuah. You have in the book of Kings, the king of Israel goes to war, and Elisha tells him in the campaign, Yehuda, chop down all the fruit trees. The Torah says clearly, you're not to chop down fruit trees. But he said, Talib ben Nevuah, in this campaign, you should chop down fruit trees. Again, he said, B'Torah's Navi, Harat Shah. And therefore, Yaakov was bound to listen to her. The question is, why did it have to go through deception? What? You have that question?
Mount Carmel, we were very close.
We were very close to Mount Carmel, yeah, right? Hara Carmel. The sacrifice to Hashem outside the temple is like eating on Yom Kippur. Shchutei Chutz, Chayiv Karet. So again, don't try this at home, Avi. A Navi, a bona fide Navi like Rivka can pull this one, right?
How do you know that she was a bona fide Navi?
Because Onkelos. That's the Oracle. Onkelos told us that. She's telling Ibn Nevuah. When she said, Olai kalascha b'ni, i.e., she told him it Amar ben Nevuah. That's why we have Onkelos. Otherwise, we couldn't understand the text.
Been spoken to by God yet
What? At this point, doesn't say that he was, but he knew that his mother was a bona fide Navi, and therefore he was obligated to what? To listen to her.
Rabbi Sprecher,
Right?
question?
Yes.
Now, why did Yaakov dress up like Esav? Yes? To get the bracha. Why did Yaakov dress up like Esav to get the bracha? Why couldn't he wear shtreimel and kapata? Why did he have to put on, what, jeans? What, open shirt? Torn jeans. And the more tears they are, the more money they cost. It's not a joke, guys. I'm in the window, Pisgat Zev, there's a store. If it has 3 tears, it's 250 shekels. It has 4 tears, it's 300 shekels.
You know the address of that store?
Yes, it's Moshe Dayan. I'll tear it myself. I got to pay him to tear my jeans. It's Meshuggah, right, Golda? It's, yes? What was your question?
What time period was Onkelos around?
Onkelos was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva. He was a Ger Tzedek. A Talmud of Rabbi Akiva about 2,000 years ago.
Okay, so then still Nebuah was around, so Onkelos could have had...
Onkelos is the oral Torah. Onkelos is the oral Torah. The tradition he got from Rabbi Akiva. Fashtei, this is the oral Torah.
The time period that people...
That's the oral, Onkelos is the oral Torah, right? Without the oral Torah, we're lost in space. It's amazing that the oral Torah passes through whom? A ger. A ger, Onkelos. And Rabbi Akiva, the greatest Tano who ever lived, was a son of a ger. And Stam Mishnah Rab Meir. Who does Rab Meir come from? The Roman emperor, what's his name? What?
Uncle.
No, the Roman emperor.
Uncle.
Nero. It's amazing that the oral Torah, Avram, passes through Gerim. Isn't that incredible? Or the children of Gerim. So where were we? Why did Yaakov have to dress up like Esav to get the bracha? What's the message for the year 2018? You're sitting down, right? Even if a Jew acts like an Esav, even if a Jew acts like an Esav and dresses like an Esav, he's still a Jew, and Hashem gives him the bracha. Doesn't mean he won't be punished. But he's part of the Jewish people, no matter how he acts or dresses. Yisrael, afi shechot Yisrael, a Jew, no matter if he sins, he's still part of the Jewish people. He's part of the bracha. He'll get punished for his sins, but in the end, he remains a blessed Jew, despite his appearance and despite his behavior. Pretty amazing. So you never kick out a child, you never disown a child. I think that's the message according to Rabbi Yashiv anyway. We wouldn't allow this Haredi guy to kick out his rotten son. But that was Hapi Harasha. Oh, so Avram Berkowitz asked a bomb kasha from Bombland. So why did Sarah say kick out? Well, it wasn't her son.
And God said,
listen to her.
She listened to him.
It wasn't her son. But this is Rivka's son. This is Yitzchak and Rivka's son. Ah, that's a good question. This wasn't her son, Ishmael. And God said, listen to her. And Rashi says why? Because he was mocking the Yerusha. He said that he gets it all. Yitzchak won't get anything. Esav was not mocking the Yerusha over here. And again, the main answer is Avram that he's a son of Rivka. He's a son of Rivka. Yishmael was not the son of Sarah. Right? And that was Api Hashem. Hashem said that. And Yitzchak Avram didn't want to do it. He was very upset. Avram didn't want to do it. It's my child. And he wouldn't have listened, but Hashem said, you have to, in this case, you have to do it, even though it's very painful. Even though it's very painful. Now, the Riyah Kodesh is amazing over here. Keep in mind, there are no extra words in the Holy Torah. Keep in mind, look at Genesis 27:8. So she calls her son, and she says, we have to come up with a scheme to deceive dear old dad. Deceive him. Now, keep in mind, there's no extra words in the Torah. Genesis 27:8. What does she say to him?
So now my son.
Now my son. What do you mean now my son? What do you mean now my son? Fasten your seatbelts for this one. So the Riyah Kodesh says that Rivka was a Gilgal of Chava. Rivka spelled backwards is what? Hakever. Rivka spelled backwards is Hakever. Who brought the grave to the world? Chava. So the Riyah Kodesh, don't blame me. The Riyah Kodesh says that Rivka is a reincarnation of whom? Chava. So the word Rivka backwards is Hakever. She brought death to the world, right? And Yaakov Avinu was a Gilgal of whom? Adam Harishon. Wow. So she says, now you're my son. Sarah, otherwise the word now is superfluous. Superfluous. What do you mean now you're my son? You see that, Bilha? What do you mean now you're my son? Listen to me. So the Riyah Kodesh points out that she's telling him, now you're my son. But in the first Gilgal, you were what? My husband. And I caused the sin of the Eitz Hadash, and I brought death to the world. So now we have to do the tikkun. By getting the bracha for Yaakov, this is somehow being mitakein the sin of the Eitz Hadash that Chava was responsible for. And therefore she says, now my son. Avram, the word now seems to be redundant. What do you mean now? Now you're my son. But the first Gilgal, you were not my son, you were my husband Adam, and I caused a terrible sin. So somehow, by getting the bracha for whom? For Yaakov, says the Ari, somehow it's mitakein the chet of what? Of Adam and Chava. It ain't over, Avram, till it's over. You can pay me now, or pay me later. But the tikkun has to be what? The tikkun has to be made. Amazing. The tikkun has to be made. Now, it's a strange verse in the end of the Bereshis 27:30. Bereshis 28:5. Bereshis 28:5. Anybody want to read that? Bereshis 28:5.
Isaac sent away Jacob, and he went toward Padan Aram.
Padan Aram. He went to Syria, to Lavan,
Son of Bethuel the Aramean, brother Rebekah, mother of Jacob and Esau.
Thank you very much. Rivka happens to be the mother of Yaakov and Esau. Well, Rashi says, well, thank you very much. This is already the end of the story. Who by now doesn't know that Rivka's what? The mother of whom? Yaakov and Esau, right? So Rashi says, Eini Yedeya Mamel Amdenu. Rashi says what? I don't know what this means. Who by now doesn't know, Abraham, that what? That Rebecca is the mother of what?
Esav and-
Yaakov and Esav. I mean, who's been out to lunch? The whole story here,
Right.
So the question is, Rashi many times does not comment at all. Yiddish, Shirley? If he didn't know, skip it. For weiter. How do you say for weiter in English? Go, keep going. Many times Rashi does not comment. So why does he have to stel zechir and say, I don't know? If you don't know, Avram, for weiter. And what's the message over here? Rashi only comments when something is bothering him, Bill Yiddish. When you don't see a comment by Rashi, it means nothing is bothering. Rashi will only comment when something is bothering. If he wouldn't comment over here, we would think that what?
It didn't bother
It
him.
didn't bother him. But Rashi's too honest for that. Rashi stands for Rabban Shel Yisrael. You know what that means? The master teacher of Israel. If he wouldn't comment, I would think it doesn't bother him. So Rashi says, help! I don't know what this teaches me. It bothers me. Is there anybody out there that does know? It's a challenge. Listen to me. The great teacher, Mark, teaches, even when you don't know, don't be ashamed to say, I don't know. That's a lesson in itself. Rashi's the greatest Rishon of all. And more than any other Rishon, you can count it, throughout Tanakh and the Gemara, 77 times, he says, Einu Yedeya. Avram, the greatest Rishon of all is whom?
No.
Rashi. Even the Ramban, when he argues with him, says he's the greatest. And he says more than any other of the Rishonim, 77 times more than any Einu Yedeya Ma Melamdenu. So what's the message, Mark? Don't be ashamed to say you don't know. That's also a lesson. So he threw out a challenge. And his grandson, Rashbam, picked up the challenge. And he says, well, Grandpa, well, he wasn't alive then, but he says as follows. He says, how is it possible that a righteous woman like Rivka should have a rotten son like Esau? How could it be?
Lavan-
Look at a brother.
Lavan also.
Lavan, uncle. The Talmud says when you marry a lady, be careful to check out
The uncle.
her brother. Because a lot of times the kid will turn out like Uncle Louis or Uncle Lavan. So, Achi Re'em Yaakov Esav. How is it possible Rivka should be the mother of Yaakov and Esav? Look who her bro was. Look who her bro was. Lavan. Yeshla ben Rasha, Yeshla ach Rasha. So the Talmud gives advice in Tractate Yevamos, before you marry a woman, check out her brother. It's a good thing Yitzchak didn't follow that advice. Otherwise what, Billa? He wouldn't marry Rivka, and where would we be? We'd be out to lunch. It's a good thing that Yitzchak didn't follow that advice.
So Esau went to Ishmael and took Malach.
Now,
Why wasn't that good enough for...
one second. Current events in the Parsha. It never fails. Bereshis 28:9. Esav went to Yishmael and he married the daughter of Yishmael. Now, why is that important for the year 2018, Sarah? We know the Torah is not history, the Torah is GPS. 28:9. Esav went to Yishmael and he married the daughter of Yishmael. Thank you very much. Why is that important? Fasten your seatbelts. Rashi tells us, halacha b'yidua she'esav son Yaakov. The hatred that Esav has for us is halacha. What does halacha mean? What does halacha mean?
It's a law.
Halacha means it's irrational. Why can't you wear wool and linen sewn together? It makes sense to you. Why can't you eat meat and milk together? It makes sense to you. Right? Rashi quotes Chazal, halacha b'yidua she'esav son Yaakov. What do you mean halacha? It's a fact that Esav hates Yaakov. Why use the word halacha? Golda, why use the word halacha? Halacha means it's totally irrational. Doesn't make no sense. What's wrong with wool and linen sweater? You know, you can wear a wool sweater over a linen shirt. Is there a problem? You can wear a wool sweater over a linen shirt, even though they're... The issue is only what?
They're woven together.
Does it make sense? It's halacha. That's the hatred that Esav has for what? Yaakov. It's irrational like halacha. So, current events. Esav married the daughter of Yishmael. So that irrational hatred, that self-destructive hatred that Esav had is now past. He married Abu Mamzer's daughter. I mean, he married Arafat's daughter.
He check out her brother?
So no matter, Larry, how many goodwill gestures we make to the PLO, right, and all the gestures that we make and the concessions, I can't stop hating you. I've made up my mind. Turn events. Who are you giving gestures and concessions to? Esav married the daughter of Yishmael, Avram. It's 2018. It's not history. That irrational hatred that Esav have is now intermarried with Yishmael. They'll never stop hating us. It's totally irrational. It doesn't make any sense. So who are you? Peace deal. Now we have a new peace deal coming up. Kushner's wasting his time. Rabbi Abraham, I think Kushner's wasting his time. Let him learn this Parsha. Jared Kushner, he's religious, Abraham. Let him learn this Parsha. Who are you making deals with?
He wastes his time every day.
Huh? A new peace plan. Like he fell out of life from Mars, right? Read the Parsha of the week. It's just amazing.
He's going to be in shul this week.
What?
He's going to be in shul.
He's going to be in shul and read, right? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Now,
maybe his rabbi should give the speech.
what?
Maybe his rabbi should give the speech.
Now, Yitzchak becomes blind, right? Bereshit 27:1, Yitzchak becomes blind. Yitzchak becomes blind. Why does he become blind? Why does he become blind? Because he couldn't see.
So we know the rest of the story.
Why does he become blind? Rashi gives a few reasons why he becomes blind. One reason is because Esav's wives were burning incense in the house, the Getchkis, and Yitzchak's eyes were so holy and sensitive that the smoke of the burning incense to idols made him blind. What about Rivka? How come her eyes were not affected? Rivka grew up with what? With the incense for Getchkis. Her eyes were already desensitized. But Yitzchak Avinu, his eyes were so sensitive that he couldn't take the burning smoke for incense for the idols and became blind. Another reason Rashi says, a strange reason, when Yitzchak was on the Akedah, the heavens opened up and the Malachim began to weep. And their tears fell what? Into Yitzchak's eyes and became blind.
I like that one.
Right? Now I don't understand that because Malachim are not, whatever that means. But and then Rashi says, Dover Acher, another reason, in order that Yaakov should take the bracha. Because if he wouldn't get blind, Bila, then he would never give the bracha to whom? To Yaakov. So why does Rashi have to bring many reasons for? Just give one reason, Golda. Why? What's the message? What's the message? That Lo Yaleinu, when a tragic occurrence happens, Lo Yaleinu, it's never for one reason. It's always a combination of reasons. And every tragedy, Lo Yaleinu, has a purpose. If Yitzchak would not have become blind, Yaakov would never get the bracha. So Rashi is teaching us that all tragedies, Lo Yaleinu, never happen just for one reason, and there's a hidden purpose there. That's what Rashi is telling us. Powerful Rashi. So the question is, Abraham, these Esav's wives were burning incense to Avodah Zarah. Why didn't Yitzchak kick them out? He didn't kick them out. Why didn't he kick them out? He loved Esav. So Chazal say that even though he was not successful with Esav, he was successful with Eliphaz. Eliphaz, the son of Esav. He was a Navi. Look at the book of Job. One of Job's friends happened to be whom? Eliphaz. That's the son of Esav, and he became a Navi. So Yitzchak's love and caring didn't work on Esav, Abraham, but it worked on what? Eliphaz didn't get lost. He was successful with his grandson Eliphaz, Ad Kedei Kach, that he was a Navi. So you see, love is never wasted. Caring is never, if you don't succeed with the child, it'll go to the grandchild.
Yes.
Never give up. That's what Yitzchak Avinu, not successful with Esav, but he was successful with Eliphaz, his grandson. And therefore he suffered, and he took it all, not to alienate Eliphaz, and in that he was successful. A powerful message. That he was successful. Now, there's a powerful Rashi over here. Yitzchak is blessing Yaakov. He doesn't know. He's speaking to Yaakov, right? In Bereshit 27, Pasuk 29. See that, Ram? Bereshit 27:29. He's speaking to Yaakov over here. He doesn't know, but he's speaking to Yaakov, and he says, "What? May nations serve you," right? And what else?
It says, "Peoples will serve you, and regimes will prostrate themselves
Right.
to you. Be a lord to your kinsmen, and your mother's sons will prostrate themselves to you. Cursed be they who curse you, and blessed be they who bless you."
Those that curse you are cursed, and those that bless you, what? Will be blessed. So Rashi wonders, by Bilam, when Bilam blesses the Jewish people, first Bilam mentions Baracha, and then he mentions Klala. So why, over here, is the order Bilam reserved? Why is it reversed? Why does Yitzchak mention curse before what? Blessing. And Bilam, when he blesses the Jews, mentions what? Bracha first. It's a very strange Rashi here. Rashi says, Tzadikim Chilasam Yisurim, B'Sofan Shalva. Tzadikim, in this world, tzadikim for some reason suffer, and they have what? Curses. That comes before the bracha. For a tzaddik, his bracha comes only when?
After.
In the afterlife. Therefore, Yitzchak, who was a tzaddik, speaking to Yaakov, a tzaddik, he mentions first what? Klala. Before bracha, because never tzaddikim, for whatever reason, tzaddik varalo, the tzaddikim in this world, they suffer, and their bracha comes in the afterlife. So since Yitzchak was a tzaddik, speaking to Yaakov, he mentions bracha, klala first. But Rishoyim, the wicked, they, in this world, they get bracha, and their punishment is left for the afterlife. So therefore, Bilam Arasha, first he mentions what? Bracha, and then he mentions klala. It's an upside down world, Bill. It's an upside down world. It's Olam HaSheker. Why is it this way? Why is it this way? Well, one reason is, if the choices were so clear, and every time you came to a shiur at the OU, $1 million fell out of the sky, and every time you did a sin, you get zapped by lightning, who would be a sinner? Right? So, and who would what? So therefore, God has to, Larry, hide behind the mask to confuse us in order to allow free choice to what? To operate. And that's only when what? When reward and punishment are hidden. Otherwise, we'd all be robots. Pretty interesting. That's one explanation. Of course, there's another explanation. Even the greatest tzaddik does some sin, right? Koheles 7, even Moses sinned, right? Koheles Avim Odom made tzaddik boards, Ashiyasat Oleyachta. So for the sin that a tzaddik does, he gets punished in this world. So you see a lot of righteous people that suffer, because for the little sins that they do, they get what? Punished here, and their reward is left what? Olam haba. Rishoyim, even a Rasha does some good, right? Even Arafat was good to his mother. They tell a story about Bugsy Siegel, right? It's not a joke; it's true. Bugsy Siegel, he got hit, knocked him out in Las Vegas. So the wife said to the rabbi, "It's a true story. You have to say something about him, right? Something good." But he was a big, Murder Incorporated. So the rabbi said, "Yeah, but he never killed anybody on Shabbos." And he kept Rabbeinu Tam's man. So the mafia knew not to call him after Havdalah. So everybody does some good, right? So for the little good that the Rasha does, HaKadosh Baruch Hu what? Gives him in this world. And their punishment is left for Olam haba. So God plays this game in order to allow free will to operate. So tzaddikim are punished down here, and their reward is left to Olam haba, and Rishoyim are what? Upside down. Rishoyim are rewarded down here, and their reward and their punishment is left what? And therefore we see the righteous suffer and the wicked what? Prosper. That's one reason. Another reason is a tzaddik knows that the real reward is what? Olam haba. The Chafetz Chaim used to own a candy store. You know, not a joke. He used to own a grocery store. He used to sell lollipops. So he said, how come God doesn't reward me in this world for mitzvahs? The Gemara says in Kedushin, there's no reward for mitzvah in this world. Why? So Chafetz Chaim gave a mashal that a guy comes into my store, he wants to buy a lollipop, but he gives me a 10 million ruble note. Daniel, 10 million ruble note. I want to buy a lollipop for a penny. Get out of here.
It's 20 minutes.
Right? So all of the reward in this world is like, how long take you to eat a lollipop? The greatest pleasure in this world. A lollipop, and then you're finished, right? So God's going to give me $100 million to buy a lollipop. So therefore the reward has to be kept what? Olam haba, where we can appreciate it. So a tzaddik knows that the real reward is what? Olam haba. The Russia doesn't believe in Olam haba. What you see is what you get. Like a fur coat, a cruise, you know. So Hashem gives him what he believes in. Each one gets what they believe in. The tzaddik knows that the eternal reward is the true world. God's not going to buy him off with a lollipop. But the Russia, you know, he believes only what he sees. So Hashem gives him what he believes, yes?
What about the Shema?
What about the Shema?
It says if you keep the Torah mitzvahs, you'll get rain in its time.
Oh, so Aaron Berkowitz asked the bomb kasha from Bombland. He asked the Rambam's kasha. Billa. The Torah says if you keep the mitzvahs, the stock market will go up, all your investments will, and the rain in its time, and you'll what? Bumper crop, bull market.
And if you don't keep the
Right.
mitzvahs, you're
So
gonna
how can the Gemara say there's no reward for what? For mitzvah in this world, where the book of Leviticus seems to contradict the Gemara. So the Rambam Hilchos Tshuva asked your question. I'll give you his. You understand the questions early? So I'll give you his answer in my words. Okay? A person works for a boss. In the end of the month, he gets a salary, right? But besides the salary, doesn't the boss have to give him proper working conditions? Yeah. He has to give him coffee breaks, and lunch break, and a clean working area, and air conditioning and heat. Is that deducted from the wages?
No.
Why not?
That's part of what comes.
What?
Automatic.
What automatic? There's wages and there's working conditions.
But you can argue.
You can't
it's
listen.
included.
1 minute. No. Ask any worker. The boss doesn't deduct the electric and the gas and the heating and the what? And the air conditioning and the coffee breaks and the lady that cleans under the desk. Is that deducted from the wages?
No.
So the Rambam's idea, in my words, he says the Torah's reward in this world is not the salary. It's what? The working conditions. You have a job to do. What's the job? Torah mitzvahs. So God has to give you proper working conditions. You have to have health. You have to have wealth. And rain and bumper crops. Otherwise, how can you do the job? It's expensive to send kids to yeshiva. It's expensive to achlos hasarachim, right? You have to have wealth. But that's not the wages. That's the working conditions. The wages come when the job is done. I like that. The wages come when the job is done. And when is that? After 120. But the working conditions, that's not the wages, right, Nocham? Hashem has to take care that I have proper working conditions. Otherwise, how can I serve him? But that's not the wages. That answers your kasha. Okay, so say Baruch Shekavanti. You mechavan to whom? Rambam Hilchos Tshuva.
I explain the other way though. It says if you don't keep the mitzvahs,
then you won't get proper working conditions.
We see a lot of these people do get proper
what?
working conditions.
So they have some schusim. They must have some schusavot, right? So even though a wicked person, he did one small act of chesed. We don't know how God he weighs the mitzvahs and averot, right? Who knows what he does behind closed doors, right? The person might appear wicked. The famous story. If I get emotional, you'll excuse me, okay? The story is worth hearing. The famous story in the day of the Ramah in Krakow. You're going to Krakow? No, you're not going. In the Ramah in Krakow, there was this real miser, a real stinge flint. You know, wouldn't give no tzedakah. They're a wealthy man, you hear? So when he died, the Chevre Kadisha didn't want to bury him in the regular cemetery. You listening? So they buried him by the fence. See this golden. So a week or two goes by, and the poor people come running to the Ramah. They used to get every Shabbos, Friday, a package of meat and chal and chulim to gefilte fish and salmon. And 2 weeks since this miser died, no more deliveries from Supersal. No more deliveries from Supersal. I mean from Osharad. So the Ramah calls in all the storekeepers. So what's going on? So we were sworn to secrecy. All these years, who was paying us under the table but swore us to what?
Secrecy.
This miser. Yeah, this miser. But he swore nobody should know. So when he died, Supersal stopped delivering because they stopped getting what? Money. And Osharad too. Yeah. So this guy comes to the Ramah in a dream. And the Ramah apologizes, bury my... So he says, you have to apologize. I have such great honor and pleasure in Olam Haba. But one thing is I miss very much. I have no one to send food packages to. I have this great Olam Haba. Hashem is hugging me. But I have no one to send a food package to. I have no one to pay. I can't do no chesed. So the Ramah wrote at Tzavor, when he dies, where should they bury him?
Right
Next to this miser. You go to the cemetery today,
Next to
he's buried next to this miser. People thought he's a Russia. You never know, Daniel, you never know.
You never know.
But people do behind closed doors. Sunday we have a good shiur. It's called Rivka Fell for Yitzchak. Remember the song by the Beatles, Since I Fell for You? Rivka fell for Yitzchak. Love at first bite. Love at first sight. Do we believe in love at first sight? Rivka falling for Yitzchak in a big way that Sunday at 2 o'clock.